Hey there, nation, and welcome to the show where we help you to play miniatures wargaming on a budget. It is I, Commander Cheapskate, and we're back on the episode of the Underhive's Most Wanted, a series dedicated to the analysis of the Dramatis Personae fighters in Games Workshop Necromunda. In this series, we'll discuss the characters' rules, their equipment, their strengths, weaknesses, positive and negative impact on gameplay, and provide other critical information to help you dominate in your next campaign of Necromunda. And on today's episode, we will discuss the lethal ladies of the Aranthian Succession. Those ladies are Lady Haera, the 13th daughter of Lord Helmore, Athera, the blade of the matriarch, as well as Lady Credo, the rebel lord. All three of these characters play a huge part in the opening phases of the Aranthian Succession, and we're going to go through each one of these characters as well. We'll look at their stats, their skills, their wargear, and provide our insight on this Dramatis Personae for your gang. Now, because the video will be a little bit of a deeper dive, because we're going over three different characters, I will put timestamps in the description box below. That way you can click to the particular character that most interests you. So that being said, let's go ahead and talk about the fighters that represent the Aranthian Succession. So the very first character we're going to talk about is Lady Credo, the Rebel Lord. She has a huge push in the Aranthian Succession. In fact, she unites all the outcasts and outlanders living on the Ashways together to wage war against High Primus in her struggle for ascension within the Aranthian Succession as well, because she's trying to get payback for the destruction of her noble house. Now, Lady Credo is a Rebel Lord. She's going to cost you 250 credits in order to recruit this character. And when it comes to her stats, she actually has some pretty decent ones with 5-inch movement as well as 3+ weapon skill and ballistic skill. She has 3 strength, 3 toughness, 3 wounds, so she's very survivable with +2 initiative. She has 2 attack space with 5+ leadership, 5+ cool, 6+ willpower, as well as 6+ intelligence. Now, when it comes to her weapon, she has a master-crafted power saber, which is just a nice way of saying a power sword that gives her a +1 to her strength and her attack, as well as -2 AP. She also has a master-crafted last pistol as well. As for her skill, she does have dodge, which iron will, as well as parry. And for wargear, she also has an armor weave cloak, which pretty much counts as light carapace armor, and she also has refractor field as well. So she's got a 4-up armor save combined with a 5-up ward save with that refractor field as well. Now, the nice thing about this character is when it comes to her skills, she does have dodge, iron will, and parry, so she gets a 6-up ward against shooting attacks, which is awesome as well. The nice thing about her, though, is she automatically comes to iron will, which means that your gang will always have -1 to your bottle roll tests, which is actually kind of nice. She kind of gives that ability to your gang right off the bat. And she also has the parry skill, which is kind of interesting because that means she gets to parry twice every single time she's engaged in close combat. She can parry once with her power saber and then parry again with this skill as well, which is also nice. Now, when it comes to her special rules, she does have a couple of them attached to her. She does have the Rebel Lord special rule, which basically means that if you take a Fallen House Criminal Alliance, if you want to, you could actually substitute her for one of the Rebel Lords that you get for your delegation. So if you're looking for a really cool, really powerful noble in order to help you out fighting in your battles in Necromunda, she makes a perfect candidate for that as well. She also has another special rule called Heir to the Outlands, which basically means that all friendly outlaw fighters, as well as outcasts within ancient interests of her, can use her psychology stats if they need to, like leadership, cool, and willpower and such. And that's actually a really good ability to have because, technically speaking, outcast gangs are known for their horrible psychology stats, so her able to do that also really helps out as well, which also makes sense considering that the setting of the Aranthian Succession, she's the one actually making all the moves in the Outlands as well as the Ashways and with the outcasts, so you can see why they kind of rally to her as well. At the same time, she also comes with 2 Servo Skulls named Sinistus as well as Dexterous. What these 2 Servo Skulls do for her, they provide her with 360-degree field of vision, at the same time also provide her the same abilities as you would for a set of photo goggles as well. So that's the nice thing about this character with her loadout. So, for this character, she is actually quite an excellent fighter for the cost that you're paying for 250 credits. You're really paying her not so much for the weapons that she has, but what you're really paying for is her special rules that attach to her as well as her skills, because it's kind of like hiring a second in command for free with your gang, which is kind of nice as well. She gets a really good close combat fighter, adds really good leadership support for outcasts as well as outlaw gangs, which makes her really awesome. At the same time, she can either be a Rebel Lord substitute for a Howland House alliance, or she could actually become the leader of an outcast gang as well, which is actually a very plausible and also really good build that you want if you really want to make an outcast gang using her as her leader. Like I said before, her ability is a really good close combat second command character. You might want to put her in charge of another assault team within your fire teams, so that way she can lead the assault as well. And at the same time, really great Dramatis Personae that you can actually get, because as the Aranthian Succession continues, you can actually recruit Dramatis Personae characters for free, which is also another added benefit as well. Now, there are some negatives for this character. Obviously, the big one is that she is quite pricey in terms of points, as well as money out of your pocketbook. And the reason why is because she is a Forge World exclusive miniature, so she will be kind of expensive in order to purchase. And her points are quite high for what she can do, but at the same time though, all the benefits that she actually prevents is actually outweighs the negatives. So if you wanted to buy this miniature, the actual official miniature, and use it in your games in Necromunda, you're actually making a pretty smart decision, because all the cool stuff that you can actually do for your gang, as well as a campaign in that setting as well. And that's our overlook for Lady Credo, the Rebel Lord. Alright, so let's talk about Athera, the Blade of the Matriarch. She's the twin sister of the current Crone Queen of House Escher, which makes her a really cool character. And she also comes with a Caryatid, which is named Stix. So for the first time ever, we actually see one of those miniatures on the tabletop. Now, in case you're not sure what those are like the mutated flying blue baby type things that bring fortune for their wearers. So that might be something you want to be taking into consideration. Now, for Athera, she is a house agent for House Escher. So because of that, her cost kind of depends on your situation. It depends on what reputation you're currently at, plus a d6 roll. So she costs anywhere between 100 to 200 credits in order to recruit her, in order to help out your gang as well. Or in some cases, if your gang is too powerful, she might not show up at all. Now, when it comes to her stats, she does have a 6-inch movement, so she is very fast, with a 2+ weapon skill, as well as a 3+ ballista skill, so she's really good at shooting in close combat. She has 3 toughness, 3 wound, 3 toughness, 3 strength, as well as 2 wounds. She has 2+ for initiative, as well as 3 attacks base. And with a charge and an additional hand weapon, that gives her 5 attacks in close combat. She has 7+ for leadership, 5+ for cool, 6+ for willpower, as well as 7+ for intelligence. Now, when it comes to her weapons and war gear, she does pack a master-crafted chain axe, which is all kinds of awesome, so she gets to reroll once per game in case she has a miss, as well as a plasma pistol, which is also a pretty powerful backup weapon. Now, she also comes with light carapace armor, giving her 4 armor save as well. Now, when it comes to her skills are actually quite interesting, and the reason why is because it kind of depends on how you're using this character in your campaign. So let's go and talk about that real quick. So first of all, if you decide to take Acrobat, she has it automatically, which means that she can ignore enemy fighters when moving or charge against other enemies. So she kind of weave her way through enemy fighters to go directly after her intended target. She also has counterattack as base for her skill as well, which means that you roll an additional attack die for each failed attack made against you during your reaction attacks. So if your opponent fails to wound you, you get even more attacks against them as well. Now, the reason why I say it kind of depends on her other skills is if you decide to use her, we're using the special rule known as Adina's Champion. Adina is her sister, who is the leader of House Escher. And if you decide to use this rule, what you have to do is you have to declare a target within your enemy's gang, and that's the intended target that Athera is there to kill. If you decide to use that and just target that one character only, she gets 1+ to her attacks, so because of that, she also has that to help her out as well. And at the same time, she also has the Spring Up ability too, which basically means that if she passes initiative tests, which is going to be easy for her to do, she can escape pinning, so it makes her a little bit deadly as well. Now, another thing that also makes this character very interesting too is that you have Favorite of Stix, and Stix is the Caryatid that actually accompanies her, and that Caryatid must stay within 3 inches of Athera, and we're going to talk about that a little more here about her special rules on the next slide. Now, first of all, let's talk about Stix, talk about that character's stats as well. So Stix is what's known as a Caryatid, which is an exotic beast that you can recruit for your gangs. They're like these blue-colored flying babies that look like demonic babies, and no one knows where they came from. All they know is that these things have supernatural abilities, and it's usually considered a good omen if you can actually manage to put one in your service. It's often said that a Caryatid actually chooses its owner, not the other way around. So it's something interesting about the lore on that one. Now, for this creature's stats, its stats are horrible. It doesn't cost anything, but it's got movement at 5 up, weapon skill 5. It's got no ballista skill, 2 strength, 2 toughness, 1 wound, 2 initiative, 1 attack. It's got 7 leadership, 7 cool, 8 willpower, and 8 intelligence. So when it actually comes to the creature, it's actually quite useless to have around. Only thing it's really going to do is maybe cause some interference for enemy attackers that attack you, or give you some bonuses to attack back and provide some assists. But for the most part, this thing is not really going to do much of anything. Now, that's not why the Caryatid is taken, though, with this fighter. The reason why is because the Caryatid has what's known as the Omen of Fortune, which means any attack, especially a range attack that goes against Athera, all she has to do is pass a willpower test, and if she manages to pass that test, she can ignore that hit being sent directly towards her. And so she's got a willpower of 6+. She's going to be able to get it off 80% of the time with her rolls. So your opponent's going to really hard to try to target her with shooting attacks, because this Caryatid is basically protecting her as well. Now, the Caryatid itself actually has a skill called Precognition, which gives a 3+ ward save, so it doesn't get hurt, and it also has flight, so that way it can ignore terrain. Now, when it comes to Athera as well as Stix, let's talk about their positive negatives real quick. So, Positives about Athera is that she's a close combat master who's extremely survivable. She also be really useful as a character assassin, especially if you decide to use the Adina's champion rule, because she can dodge fire, cut through enemies, and then of course dodge past enemies on a charge and go directly towards your intended target and kill them. Another cool thing about the first half of the Aranthian Succession so far is that in the second half of the campaign, you can recruit Dramatis Personae for free in your gang, and so that's another thing that actually makes her quite useful. Now, she's also a house agent too, so because she is quite cheap to recruit, anywhere between 100 to 200 credits to recruit her, so that's another positive aspect about her character. The only real negative about this character is that she is a Forge World exclusive miniature, so she is going to be quite pricey to purchase. However, though, given the rules with the Aranthian Succession and the rules that this character has, if you decide to actually purchase this character to get the official miniature, it actually would not be considered a bad move, just because she adds so much benefit to your gang, especially if you're going to be playing in the Aranthian Succession as well. So those are our views about Athera, the Blade of the Matriarch. So the last of the characters we're going to talk about today is Lady Haera, the 13th daughter of Lord Helmwar. So let's talk about her real quick. So she is a house agent, and the only way you can recruit her is if you have an alliance with House Helmwar, which is the Imperial House. And of course, you have to take a reputation and roll a d6, and depending on what you roll will determine the cost that you need to pay in order to recruit her. She can cost anywhere between 100 to 200 credits, or she might not help you out at all, depending on your situation. Now, when it comes to Lady Haera, the house agent, she's got a movement characteristic of 6 inches, as well as a 2+ weapon skill, 3+ for ballistic skill. She has 3 strength, 3 toughness, 2 wounds. She also has 3+ initiative, 3 attacks, 5 leadership, 5 cool, 6 willpower, and 6 intelligence. So she's actually quite deadly with her stats and physical stats and combat stats, as well as for her psychology stats as well. She's just kind of like the complete package, all things considered. Now, the neat thing about her too is also the weapons and equipment that she's actually equipped with. She's equipped with no range attacks. The only thing she has is a power sword, which is just a normal power sword, as well as a power spear, which is actually quite interesting. It has a versatile attack of 2 inches. It's also based on her strength of strength 3, but has -2 AP, causes 1 damage. It's got the melee as well as power skill, as well as a versatile weapons trait. But she also has a range attack that she can use to actually throw the power spear with a 4-inch short range and 8-inch long range, but she gets +1 to hit at short range, and strength 4, -2 AP with 2 damage with knockback as well. And it's also got a homing teleport attached to that spear, which we'll talk about a little bit more detail here in a second. So because that, she is kind of kitted out to kill with some really cool, interesting power weapons, all things considered. Now, when it comes to her sword too, which another thing is an interesting thing about her sword, I made a mistake about the sword. It's not a power sword, it's actually a base sword. So because of you get no armor saves against those close combat attacks as well. Now when it comes to her armor, she does have light carapace armor for that 4-up armor save, as well as a refractor field. So she has that 5-up ward save as well, which is also really good. Now with her skill, she has backstab, which means she gets +1 strength to her attacks, which she attacks from behind, which is okay, I guess. And she also has the dodge skill, which gives her 6-up ward save against shooting attacks, which is also, man, nothing to write about it either. But the homing teleport thing is actually kind of cool. Every single time she makes a range attack with a spear, you roll a d6, and on a 3+, you're good. The energy pack for the homing beacon still works on the spear. However, though, if it's less than a 3+, that means you used up all the juice in the teleporter. So because she can't throw it anymore, she can only use it as a close combat weapon. Now, she does come with a pair of servo watch skulls, what they're called, and that gives her a 360-degree viewpoint as well. And this pretty much makes up the stats for Lady Haera, 13th daughter of Lord Helmwar. So let's talk about her positive and negative effects as well. Now when it comes to this character, she is obviously a close combat master who's also extremely survivable, giving her ward save as well as her normal armor save as well. So she is quite good. Now she is not as good as other Dramatis Personae in my opinion. She can't do a lot of things in normal games other Dramatis Personae can do. Her skills are absolutely horrible in comparison for the stuff that's out available. But if you think about it, in the Aranthian Succession, especially in the second half of the first part of the campaign, you get to recruit Dramatis Personae characters for free. So that's something you might keep in consideration, is because you can recruit her as such. And of course, she's a house agent, and she only costs her between 100 to 200 credits as well, which is also quite positive. Now, for the negative of this character as well, there's 2 things. One, in order to recruit her for your gang, you do have to have an alliance with House Helmwar. So if you're an outlaw gang, that's going to be impossible for you to make that alliance, because House Helmwar refuses to work with outlaws. So that could be kind of a hindrance for most players. And the second thing that also kind of acts as a negative is that she is a Forge World exclusive miniature. Now, The other two Forge World exclusives I talked about, which are Lady Credo and Athera, I would justify that their cost for paying Forge World prices for those characters and what they can do for you is actually well worth the money. Lady Haera, I'm kind of on the fence about. There's not really much that she can do, anything groundbreaking for the most part, so it could be a harder sell for you to try to purchase this miniature from Forge World in order to do so. But at the same time, though, if you want to use it for like an outcast gang leader, I suppose it'd be kind of cool to do that if you wanted to go with that route. Or, you know, if you just really want the miniature, because the miniature is very interesting looking, that could also work out for your favor as well. So it's just kind of up to you when it comes to that negative and how you want to proceed from there. And that's our opinion about Lady Haera, the 13th daughter of Lord Homewar. So in conclusion, unlike like a lot of the Forge World exclusive Dramatis Personae, they're kind of in a strange place. And the reason why they're in a strange place is because their rules and their costs and point values sometimes don't justify the actual monetary cost of actually buying these miniatures for Forge World. So you run into this juxtaposition, this kind of disconnect between that. And that's why a lot of these Forge World exclusives are kind of hard to sell, because while the miniatures are cool and they might have some interesting rules and things, they're pretty expensive. So a lot of people might not actually partake in that due to that reason. Now, with that being said, however, I do feel that these three characters are actually a much more viable option because of the way the Aranthian Succession campaign is set up. Lady Haera and Lady Credo play major roles in the narrative of the Aranthian Succession, and they can easily be added to your gangs due to campaign rules with things like being able to hire free Dramatis Personae. And since House Escher has such a huge role to play in this campaign as well, having Athera as well as Stix is also kind of a viable option too. Unlike other Dramatis Personae that we looked at before, they're not so much, the viability isn't really there. But these fighters who are part of the Aranthian Succession, though, they do play a major part in some of the scenarios as well as the narrative, so it's a little bit more justifiable in order to do that. So just keep that in mind when you look at these miniatures. Determine to yourself what the meaning is for owning these miniatures and how it pertains to your campaign, and of course, act accordingly. So that's going to do it for this week, guys. As always, please feel free to like, comment, and or subscribe. Your guys' input is invaluable to us as always. Also, check us out on other social platforms with Facebook, Instagram, as well as blogger.com if you want to get up to date with all the hobby stuff that we're doing on this channel with paint jobs and projects, terrain, etc. That's going to do it for this week, guys. That's going to do it for this one, guys. I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace out and stay classy.